Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview, this time covering VCT Masters Toronto 2025. My guest at this time is Fayde, the head coach of Wolves Esports, coming off of their match against Sentinels, in which they came out on the losing end, losing 2-0 to thus go down into the elimination side of things in the Swiss stage and instead competition. So, Fayde, really do appreciate the opportunity and the interview. And obviously, coming off of this with the loss, I mean, I assume it's a pretty tough way to experience this. But nevertheless, I gotta ask you, just sort of like, what's going through your mind? How are you feeling after finishing the first debut match in the international stage?
Uh, I think our debut match wasn't that bad. It kind of surpassed like several expectation of the team. But right now, what's on my mind is I think I will, after everything is done today, I would like to go back and address some issues that we have shown in the match today against Sentinels. So we have like 1.5 day to go through our problems before our next match in the elimination. So yeah, that's the priority right now.
Yeah, obviously, like this team came into this matchup with a pretty decent plan. Going for a little bit of a curveball onto split, and then try to go and use that, carry the momentum forward into Lotus and maybe even Icebox as well. Obviously, Sentinels was able to finish the first two maps with a victory and then close the series 2-0. You kind of mentioned a little bit as to like the rationale and the thought process behind picking split in the press conference, which happened a few moments ago. But I want to ask you more so on a general sense on the entire matchup, given that you guys were coming into this with a game plan against Sentinels. What were some of the biggest points that you wanted to look at in terms of facing off Sentinels and countering them as well?
I think the biggest plan behind this veto we had against Sentinels was the idea of them having to change and adapt to a new meta after the Teho nerfs. So most of the plans that we had, the pick and ban we had against them was to try to pick into maps where they have to do these uh agent changes. Because I know Sentinels had a very good split during Americas, but we were actually pretty good on split too. So it's kind of like our comfort pick uh, in the recent months. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, looking over into the team's form in that map, you guys were like, sure, you guys had a pretty bad record at the start of the year in the domestic side, but you guys were able to bounce back and win against BOG and also Titan or TES in one of the events before the start of the match. So you obviously understand more regarding that. Unfortunately, it kind of finished into it with a loss, but still, live and learn, and you guys are definitely gonna learn this for the next matchup. I kind of asked a similar question to Stufat in the press conference. I kind of want to redirect it towards you for this occasion. Where do you kind of look at the current level of your side and Sentinels, given that Wolves are coming to this as a debut team, and then Sentinels already had plenty of experience with the players that they have in tow. So, where do you kind of look at the current level right now between where you guys are at and your opponent's side?
I think Wolf compared to Sentinel, it's like we all understand that they have like a lot of like global events experience, which most of my players lack. But coming to this tournament, I think most of my players that are debuting their global like over here in Toronto, like it's their first international event. I think they did pretty well in terms of Spring, Shifa BB, and Juicy. Yeah, these three they did really really well. For Grey Cow, I think he did actually pretty decent too. I think the match today, Lyso kind of got some nerf into him. So this is like one of the problems that we have to address ASAP before our next match. So he's a good player, but I think it's like whenever it comes to like international tournaments, he kind of have like this mental block that I'm trying to help him overcome it currently. So we'll see what we can do over the next 2 days.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this team has been able to grow for a very quick amount of time in this season, and it's for that reason that you guys are in this competition in the first place. But I kind of now want to pivot now towards yourself, personally, Fade. Given that you've been at this for a very long time, and it's only now in which you're finally at the international stage. You've been doing this for basically the entire time that this game has been around. So, like, for you as the coach, what do you think allowed you to or enabled you to take this group of people and bring it up to the Masters?
Mm, in the first few years when I was coaching in Team SMG and Team Secret, I think we actually came short in terms to qualifying to international event. Once in SMG to I think Iceland, and one in Team Secret to Copenhagen, if I'm not mistaken. It's actually pretty close, I think, most of the time, but we always fell short at the end. This time when Wolf contacted me to take over as a head coach role. My goal is only to build a roster that's strong enough, that is strong enough and capable to qualify to international event and compete with the best teams in the world.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've definitely been able to show it. And, I mean, one of the teams that you've been kind of taking part of is like most recently XLG and then like NIP, I believe, and then also SMG at the very like early stages of SDA Valorant. And, talking about SMG, you put up an interesting like a tweet on X/Twitter, regarding like you DMing ZSBW, regarding like your interest of being a coach for his team and all that good stuff. Walk me through what was that like beginning process for you at that time when you were just trying to like find a start for yourself.
So the idea of me DMing Zespi back then was because I've decided to take a break from competition as a player. I used to compete in another FPS title as a player, but due to my wrist injury, so I have to decide to take a break from playing. That's why I think I can contribute to the team as a coach since I've always been an IGL and the team leader. So I think that's like a natural position that I can transition into. And I did not want to take like a gap year between playing. But actually, the plan was to coach for a year and head back into playing because I think VALORANT is a very fun game that I would like to try to go pro in. But then I think the success I've had in the first year kind of, how do I put it? Like teams wanted me as a coach instead of a player
Mhm.
after the first year in SMG. So I kind of went with that direction and just stayed as a coach until now.
Did it even surprise you that you were able to like contribute so heavily, as a coach, more so than like as a player, and you would even be able to like be regarded as one of the top coaches in like SDA and even now like in China?
Pardon, I didn't hear the first few lines. Sorry, can you please
Yeah.
repeat?
Did it surprise you that you were able to get to such a high level as a coach, compared to when you were like a player and the like?
Mm, I think it's mostly because I know how to work with a group of people together. That's why I think that's a secret recipe behind building a successful team. Um, when I was a player, I wasn't that successful because that game that I played in, I think it was very difficult and I was pretty new in terms of experience and stuff. But when VALORANT came out, I think it's like everyone had an even ground at the start. So I kind of took advantage of that and then started learning the game more, hence understanding more and play and perform better as a coach compared to player.
No, for sure. I mean, and also one thing that I want to ask you real quick, regarding like your time as coach is the versatility and just having to work with different like kinds of nationalities, different kinds of players. Because of course, you've been with SMG, then Boom, then Secret, and then NIP went over to China and went over to XLG. Now we're here in Wolves. Different kind of languages, different kind of players, different kind of personalities. I would say when it comes to working with different kinds of players, do you see like a constant regarding like a certain trait that is similar to all the other teams that you've been working with, or has it always been different in just trying to figure out how a certain team kind of works itself out?
I think I'm kind of blessed with the players that I've coached before. Uh, Most of them are hard workers. Like I've always prioritized like keeping the hard workers in my team. Because I believe that if you grind enough and you put in enough work, that you'll be able to like produce some good results. So all the rosters that I've been in, like we've actually had like really hardworking and talented players.
Oh, for sure, and as we've seen in the past, those teams have been able to do well, and also hopefully the same can be said for your squad, and more specifically in this competition. I got no more time to ask more questions, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up here. Still, though, I gotta give my thanks to you, Fade, for this opportunity, for this interview, and for your answers, and of course, best of luck goes to the team, but most importantly for yourself for your next matchup.
Thank you very much, Pedro.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.